Good morning, class. This is Richmond reporting to you from Malmo, Sweden. So I'm currently in the south of Sweden. I originally came here to attend Nordic Game, a really amazing game conference. And, while I'm here, I thought I'd engage in one of my favorite activities, which is trying local beers. So I found this really, really exciting one here today. Just look at this packaging. It is adorable. So this beer is called BLACKPAC, and it is an Imperial Stout with licorice and vanilla. Sounds absolutely amazing. It's brewed by a company called Brewski. So this is actually a local Swedish beer. It's brewed in Helsingborg, which is a city in Skåne County, which is the southernmost county in Sweden. Malmo is also part of that county. And yeah, so this is a local beer. As you can tell, local hipstery microbrewery kind of beer. I think this place is also a restaurant. This beer is in a very simple can. It's a plain silver can, and this whole label is actually a sticker. They probably had it printed at a print shop and stuck it on by hand. This is not like a mass-produced beer. Super local. I looked it up online, and there's barely any reviews for it anywhere. I didn't see any in English. So yeah, really excited to try this very local beer. Especially excited because I really love stouts and porters. That's one of my favorite styles of beer. They tend to be stronger, sweeter, darker beers. Oh, and if you're wondering, the difference between a stout and a porter, well, there actually really isn't technically a difference. This style of beer, stouts, they were originally called porters. So this style was invented in England, I think in the 1700s or 1800s. What differentiated it from other beers is that it's warm brewed, I believe. I think they brew it with warm water, and they use dark malts, and it's a very strong, sweet beer, higher alcohol content, making it more shelf stable back in the day. And because of that shelf stability, this is actually one of the first beers that started to be exported internationally, and that would caught on internationally. I think before that, beers were all very, very local. So yeah, they were called porters originally because they were popular with porters, and then they started to be called stout because stout just means strong, and they're a very strong beer. And then over time, they started calling them stout porters, and then, people just started calling them stouts for short, and here we are today. So there's really functionally no real difference between stouts and porters. And this one is specifically a Imperial Stout, and I think those are called so because, like I said, this was one of the first styles of beer to be internationally exported and distributed, and Imperial Stouts were brewed in England and then shipped over to Imperial Russia back in the day. That's why they're called Imperial Stouts. They're extra strong. Maybe they made them stronger so they could make the voyage overseas. I don't know. But they became really popular in the Baltic region, which, Sweden is part of. Sweden has a coast on the Baltic Sea. And there is a style called Baltic Stouts, too. But this one is specifically called an Imperial Stout. And Imperial Stouts are particularly strong. This one is 10.5% alcohol by volume. I expect it to be very strong, very sweet, and excited to see if it really has that licorice and vanilla flavor. Usually I associate Imperial Stouts with like a chocolate flavor. That's typically what's advertised, but licorice is real popular in the Nordic region. So yeah, let's see how this tastes. Okay, so I'll crack this open. Ooh. Okay. Oh, already it smells great. Here, I'm gonna give that a sniff. Yeah, so it actually does have a chocolatey smell to it. And as you can see, it's got, you know, little bubbles. Almost looks like a cola. Stouts are very dark. They're practically opaque. And I'm just gonna pour this very slowly. Typically I'd tilt the glass and pour it, but I cannot do that with one hand. So yeah, you can see, yeah, this almost looks like a cola. It's even got big bubbles like a soda. They're not, doesn't look like it has tiny bubbles like, you know, like a Guinness or something. Forming a pretty good head though. Pretty foamy. I wonder if I'll be able to empty this whole can into this glass perfectly. Wow, it smells great, and the color is beautiful. You can see that that the head there, the foam is actually brown. You know, it's not white. It's brown, and that's, you know, one of the characteristics of stouts and porters is they use dark malts, and they have a very nice sweet malty flavor to them. That's why I like stouts. It's a big part of the reason. I'm a simple man. I like the sweet malty flavor. The malt particularly, you know, it reminds me of like Ovaltine, kind of a nostalgic taste to it. Wow, this looks really good. Yeah, it's totally opaque. You cannot see through it. Time to give it a sip. Wow, okay. This is one of the best beers I've ever had. It's, okay, let me give it another sip before let me process this. Wow, that's good. This is actually a very straightforward beer. It's very sweet. This is one of the sweetest beers I've ever had, but it's not like a cloying. It's not. It's not too much. It doesn't taste saccharine. It's just a very pleasant sweetness. There is that chocolate flavor that's like typical of stouts. And then there's a bit of bitterness that comes from, you know, the malts are roasted more than usual, so you do get a bit of bitterness from the on top of the roasted notes. And the licorice comes through very subtly in the aftertaste. To be honest, I was actually a little bit concerned that maybe the licorice, as promised on the can here, might be a bit too overpowering. You know, especially because if you get like licorice candies in the Nordic regions, they're very strong. It's a very intense flavor. Sometimes it's even kind of salty. It's for me, it's a very unusual, kind of exotic foreign flavor. But here, it's very mild. It's very subtle. It's more like the hints of licorice I'm used to in, you know, Asian food. Like the star anise and stuff. In Asian cooking, that's used more for savory dishes. Like with pork, it's kind of like a nice aftertaste that it lingers so that you have something other than greasiness, you know, in your mouth. Similar thing here, right? The lingering licorice, it stays there so that you're not left with a astringent alcohol flavor. It's a pretty pleasant aftertaste, you know. You feel like your breath is not going to stink after drinking this. Excuse me. And the vanilla, you get it, you know, right there in the middle. It's kind of a vanilla chocolatey flavor. So the sweetness in this definitely corresponds to the alcohol content. 10.5% alcohol, pretty strong. It's twice as strong as your average Pilsner or whatever. But, you know, with porters, the alcohol also equates to a sweeter flavor. They get that higher alcohol content by having more sugar in there to begin with. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is a very pleasant beer. Okay, the head's already dissipated. It did not stick around very long. You know, it's not like a Guinness, right? Guinness is pretty unusual for a stout, actually. Like, it's very light and it's very different. This, yeah. Very nice beer. Very nice stout. Very sweet. Very straightforwardly enjoyable. High alcohol content, so it'll get you, you know, nice and toasty pretty fast. And the licorice gives it a little bit of complexity and a nice lingering aftertaste. That label is perfect. It's very fitting. It's as pleasant as this label. I'm getting, you know, this kind of cute, pleasant, warming sensation, and, you know, hopefully I won't get attacked by this guy later. But I'm only having one of these, so not going to overdo it. Yep, so that is the BLACKPAC Imperial Stout with licorice and vanilla from Brewski, which is a brewery in the south of Sweden. Highly recommend it. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to have this beer again outside of Sweden. If you can find it, maybe you can find it at an online store, or you have like a really amazing alcohol shop in your neighborhood. I'd recommend giving it a try. I want to give it another sip. Very good, very pleasant. Highly recommend it. All right, have a good one, everyone.